What's up, guys? I'm Isaac here at Back Road Harley-Davidson with your pre-owned bike of the week. This 2023 Harley-Davidson CVO Street Glide. So I really like this bike because this was our first introduction to this new body style that we see today. So this was, we had the older body style. They were hitting around stuff. We saw the first bit of posters going around where we just saw things were going to change with the lighting, and then this bike dropped and we saw the new direction that things were going in with brand new things. LED in the fairing, VVT Milwaukee 8 121, and this thing's just inverted front on a bagger. I mean, this radial Brimbos, this is some pretty crazy stuff, and so it's really cool to see one of these out here on the road. And between this bike and the 25 CVOs, not a whole lot has really changed over the years between these. Probably some refinements here and there, but overall, it's pretty much going to be the same bike. So we're going to put, this one is already broken in, and it has, let's see, how many miles does this thing have? So fun fact, usually you can tap this without turning the bike on to see, and it looks like it has just over 12,000 miles. So that's not bad for a couple years. So this bike is just broken in, and it is, so we're going to go ride this one around, go rip on it just a little bit so that we can get a better idea of how this bike's going to look and feel, and get a better idea of how these newer ones are going to feel. Now, biggest changes on this that are making it a CVO, biggest things that we're going to notice is that it does have the Rockford Fosgate speakers all the way around, so up here in the fairing as well as in the speakers. 121 VVT motor, that's a pretty big deal, so that's pretty exciting. Biggest thing with the VVT is that it's really going to give us a little bit more torque down low. It's going to change things up a little bit so that way we get the right amount of power in the right places. We're going to feel a bit better suspension because these did get upgraded suspension over the previous years, but it does have inverted front, and being a CVO, of course, steel braided lines. It does have the newer heated grips, which I'll show you this. This one does have the docking hardware ready, that nice cozy CVO seat, and you'll see right here, that's actually the control for the heated grips now. So instead of having the twist, now it's a press, and you'll see it pop up on the dash. Now, aftermarket features, really not a whole lot you got to do to these bikes. Biggest thing, like I just said, was the docking hardware. You do have some little footrests there on the engine guard to go spread your feet out some. Let's see, it does have different mirrors, and it looks like, can't remember if that was stock or not on that windshield. And then, of course, these bars, so nothing too crazy. And you'll see, actually, here's the adjustment for the suspension down there. Nice saddlebags, tons of room in here. You can go put all your stuff everywhere in here. So nice room. Throw a tour pack on here, and you're good to go. So, and the speaker lids really don't take up a whole lot more room either. They go down just a little bit, so it's really not bad. Unless you're like me and you overload a bike pretty easy. But, yeah, let's crank this thing up. Let's see what it sounds like. And exhaust. It does have exhaust. So I can't really tell what exhaust this is. It looks more like a removed baffle than anything. Not exactly sure. And then, of course, the new lighting there. And, of course, let you see the front of this bike, which by now you're probably used to that style. But it's a hot day, so we're going to take advantage of all the air we can on this. So turn these wheelie wings in, get more air in there that way. And we're going to open up this little vent as well. So now I get even more wind from around that fairing, which is kind of a weird concept. You might be thinking, you have a fairing to keep the wind off you. But what the fairing does is it actually keeps the pressure of the wind off of you, and that's letting just a little bit of a breeze up in here. So the bulk of the pressure's off, but I can still enjoy a little bit of some AC cranked. Yeah, so that VVT's working its magic. Giving me nice, smooth, easy power during that parking lot maneuvering. Let's see. Yeah. What was that? These
bars are pretty wide, so if that's your style, then you'll be doing pretty well with this. But it gives you plenty of leverage on that front tire, so which these bikes already handle better than the previous gen, but this one, you've got so much leverage on it right now. Of course, you do keep your traditional Harley style turn signals, but now there's a few. Oh, that VVT is making the hill start nice and easy. This one does have, this might have hill hold control too, which we'll check on that next. Yeah, look at that. Got your nice tray right here to put your phone in. I've got the key for this bike right now because it does utilize a key fob, which is really nice. So you just leave that in your riding jacket and always have the key on. You don't have to worry about leaving a key on the bike like many riders do. The handle's great. The suspension's nice. I'm gonna hop on the highway here in just a second. That sounds good. Woo. Crank up this radio too a little bit. Now, if you're used to other baggers, you'll notice that the controls are actually flipped. Let's see if it has hill hold control. Oh, it does. So if you hold the front brake, give it a good squeeze and hold it, then you'll see that H pop up. And that means that it actually has the brake locked in. So now you'll see I can't move it. So, which is really great. Easy way to undo it is just, tap the brake again and I'm good to go. Or just go ahead and start creeping the bike forward and it'll automatically cut off. Nice advantage to that is hill hold. I mean, that's what it's for primarily. So, every now and then you'll have to do something, or you're trying to scratch something, or while you want the bike to stay stationary, but it's on a hill and you're running out of room here or hands. So all you got to do is just give that a squeeze and you have a hand freed up. And you can have both feet on the ground, so you can maintain good balance. Oh, another thing, have I mentioned yet? Ride modes. It has the introduction to that. This was our introduction to that. Good lean. We won't be using those too much. Cruise control, you got that. I can just tap that and tap that down, and I'd have it set. A little bit of traffic today. Yeah, so I'm good to go. Throw this thing up in 6th gear. Ease on up a bit. These guys want to go slow. So yeah, I'm going way under the speed limit. But the nice part about that VVT is you should still downshift when you need to. But you might not always have to, because it's going to make the adjustments it needs. So for example, I'm going to drop this way on down. Bike coming up fast. Oh yeah, dude's ripping it. So let's see. So 6th gear. I want to drop it to like 2,000 RPMs. 60 miles an hour, and you'll see I'm able to roll on pretty easy, so that you don't really have as much like lugging you might typically do. So I can go ahead and roll on it. Makes the adjustments and lets you pick it up pretty quick and easy. So that's pretty nice. Yeah, so I'm a big analog gauge guy, but with this digital display, nice. Oh yeah, we're gonna make this light. Not bad. Yeah, so anyway, I'm a big digital gauge guy, or analog gauge guy, and so the digital controls popped up. I wasn't quite sure how I felt about it yet. But as I've dived a lot deeper into it, I like it. Because it's another layer of customization, which if you ride a Harley, then you probably like customization. So I can actually change up my ride display. So this is the classic. I can set up to a touring, which just has just the essentials here and leaves the rest of it open for like your maps, or I can leave it on the classic display, which is this, or the sport, which is a big tack in the middle, and just your essential readouts kind of around it. But I can change it up a little bit. So now everything's controlled with the left hand for the most part, whereas previously it was a little more controlled with the right. But now they've gone to this kind of D-pad system. Feels dirty. Now that they've gone to like this D-pad, now it's a little bit easier to kind of have everything right in there. So yeah, let's go ahead and set it to a good radio station. No. The only downside is it's a little bit hard for me to reach that other side with my hand. I've got short thumbs, and it's kind of hard to reach there sometimes. So I've kind of got to really reach across or something.
Seriously, of course, check out the new coat of paint. It's looking good, fun stuff. On 100.7 RDU. We got the cash mode on the way.
The new 100.7 RDU. Everything rock and alternative.
100.7 WRDU's Back to School Drive is back, presented by
no music.
Breeze Airways. It's all
It sounds good.
Tuesday, August 12th between noon and 6. Join us at the Walmart in Cary.
And did I mention how well it handles? Phenomenal. Mighty fine work. This has really made it hard for people to choose between baggers and softails, because before the softails, you know, clearly they were lighter, they handled better, but now the way these baggers handle now, it's tough to choose because they're not that much heavier and they're not that much harder to maneuver. Now there has been some confusion about CVOs, and I see a lot of people, or something that's kind of confused me is I've seen a lot of people pick up the CVO ST, at least when it comes to road glides. A lot of people seem to gravitate towards the CVO ST more than the CVO. Now this is on the road glide side. Unfortunately, there is no CVO Street Glide ST. There's only the road glide. But I've seen a lot of people get the STs and build them out like the standard CVOs. Now, they're both loaded with CVO features, but they're different. So whereas the ST is the 121 high output, it doesn't use VVT, it just has the one bigger, fatter cam. So because it's made for being opened up a little more higher revved applications. And where that VVT really gives you the most, that was cool. Where that VVT really gives you the most advantage is in U-Bunny. That, I hope that's not somebody's mom. That's tough. Oof. I don't know what they were going for. Oof, that is tough. But your biggest advantage with the VVT is going to be in the lower RPM applications, you know, like your standard easy cruise and stuff like that. But if you're trying to be, you know, on the wall most of the time, yeah, the CVO ST is going to be where it's at. But I've seen a lot of people put, you know, 2-up seat, passenger foot pegs, all kinds of stuff like that, taller bars, all kinds of CVO stuff on the CVO ST. So they kind of, which I guess it's just the appeal of the appeal of just that that more racing inspired bike. It's been interesting to see. Now for Street Glide, your only options, well, you actually have a couple options now. You have the Street Glide, the CVO Street Glide, and now the Street Glide Ultra, which has your lowers and your tour pack and some of those other Ultra benefits. Bike sounds good. It's quick too. It's a 121, so I mean it should be quick, and it is. But as I was saying, this has really blurred that line between softails and baggers. You know, I don't have any crazy stature or strength or anything like that, but this is a really easy bike for me to drive, and it's not so heavy that I'm, you know, concerned about driving it in parking lots or trying to back it up in a spot. You know, I don't get on this and think, oh man, like I might get stuck somewhere with this thing. And this is the dark platinum color, which out in the sun, which like all these colors, out in the sun, they just look 100 times better. And so it's just a really metallic silver with a little bit of shading in there. I like it. It's simple, but it stands out good.
Listen to that.
It still adds, holy cow. Pretty much always recommend the Cardo headset. But if you have a Cardo, you can pair it with the motorcycle. And then you can start using Apple CarPlay too, which is very nice. Very nice advantage. So you can use your CarPlay on that and be good to go. Dang, you got places to be. Yeah, ride modes. So that was mostly road mode, but I can throw it in sport mode. So now it's even more responsive. Might have to open it up just a little bit here.
Another cool feature, EITMS, which you just saw pop up there. So that will deactivate power from one cylinder. It'll stop sending fuel there.
Let's see. Wow, okay. Let me ease up a little bit. Alright. Bike's ready to party. Yeah, so EITMS. So what that'll do is that will stop sending fuel to one of your cylinders, and that way it lets, usually the rear cylinder thing. And so what it'll do is, because that one, pretty sure it's the rear cylinder, because usually that one's a little bit hotter, I think. And so it turns that cylinder into just an air pump, so it's just pumping air through there, because at idle, the displacement from the one cylinder is enough just to keep the bike idling and on. So that way you've got a little bit less combustion and it lets the bike cool off a little bit more when it gets hot like this. But speaking of heat management, which if you listen closely you'll hear it. There you go. You hear the revs change up just a little bit like that. So instead of a it goes to a So it's interesting, but it's useful. Which, speaking of heat management, that was another massive deal for this bike, was that this is now center cooled. So it utilizes an actual radiator, and it doesn't have to have the lowers to do it. Helps utilize an actual radiator, so it handles it fine right there, and you don't have to have the lowers. So works out quite nice. That's a lovely place to stop. Yeah, because these bikes are made to put some miles on and go explore. So every motorcycle is made for that, but the Street Glide, and especially the CVO Street Glide, it's going to give you a few extra perks to go and do it a little bit better. So this is a very bumpy road, so it's nice to be able to go ahead and throw it back in road mode. That way, I don't have to worry about being quite as steady on the throttle. The bike's a little bit more forgiving while I'm rolling like this. So it works out pretty nice. And it tells you what direction you're going in. I'm going in headed northeast right now, and now I made a 90-degree turn, so I'm headed southeast. That guy does not see me. Hello. So for those that are directionally challenged, works out kind of nice. Yeah, so I hope this kind of gave you a better look at the CVO Street Glide and just what an awesome machine it is and everything it brings to the table. So, got great speakers, got even better power, you got a phenomenal paint job, and all these nice features just to make this bike the top notch of street glides. So, thank you guys again for watching, and if you want to know more about this bike or any others here at Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson, then be sure to stop by and come see us. So in the meantime, ride safe, and we hope to see you soon.